Welcome to another episode of Purpose Today. I'm your host, Dr. April Dobson, and I'm very, very excited to have a special guest with us on the show today, Teresa Ramirez. Teresa is an author and the CEO of Journey in Kindness. You don't want to go anywhere. Stay tuned for our very special guest, Teresa Ramirez, after these sponsorship messages. This episode of Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson is brought to you by the Purpose Professionals community and Purpose Today Global. Purpose Today Global exists to help professionals to align their profession with their purpose without sacrificing their target salary or wasting their time. Purpose Today Global currently offers a webinar for individuals to help to receive the 3 key steps to begin aligning their profession with their purpose. If you'd like to register for this free executive webinar, visit training.purposetoday.com/register. Welcome back to Purpose Today. Again, I'm so excited to have our very special guest, Teresa Ramirez, CEO of Journey in Kindness and published author. Teresa, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Dr. April. I really appreciate being here.
You're very welcome. And I know I just shared a little bit of insight about you and the fact that you're an author and CEO of Journey in Kindness, but I'm sure our viewers are wondering more information about you. So if you don't mind, could you please share insight about yourself with our viewers?
Sure, absolutely. Outside of an author, I'm a motivational speaker. I am an empty nester. I have 2 grown sons. I have fur babies now, 1 cat, 1 dog. And when I'm not, I journey in kindness. Kindness is a lifestyle. So I won't say when I'm not being kind, it's just a lifestyle now. But when I'm not physically doing podcasts or out speaking, I like to go hiking and kayaking.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing about yourself. And, you said something, when you were just giving your introduction and just, indicating when you're not actively speaking or doing something for Journey in Kindness, that it's a lifestyle. And I really believe that we have to have kindness as part of our lifestyle. So what are some things that you think that people can do practically to ensure that they're introducing kindness in their daily lives?
And it's so simple. I tell everybody, build that foundation. And people say, well, I'm already kind. I said, but are you being intentional? Are you getting up in the morning and saying, okay, I'm going to do X to build that foundation of kindness? And one of the easiest ways, and it's always the one I always start with, is a hello. And everybody's, so what? I do that all the time. But do you really understand the impact? And I had a friend who worked in a parking garage. And he would smile and say good morning to all of his normal people. And he went on vacation. When he came back from vacation, those regular people are like, where have you been? We've had the worst week, 2 weeks, whatever it was, in our lives. And he's like, what are y'all talking about? And they said, your smile and your good morning set the tone for our entire day. And without it, the days weren't as bright, weren't as kind, didn't run as smoothly. So, and he came to me, he was so funny. He goes, you kindness lady, you always how powerful and impactful that is. He said, I didn't realize it until someone told me my impact. And I think that's true for anybody. And I always challenge people with this today, go out and smile and say hi to everybody you pass. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they smile and say hi back. It doesn't matter. But do it and see what kind of reactions you get, because 9 times out of 10, what I notice, because I walk the dog every morning and say hi to everybody, is some people just look at you like, you're looking at me? You're saying hi to me? Like, so it's, you're acknowledging their existence, so to speak, and you might be the only smile they get all day. And it's so simple, and it doesn't cost anything.
That's great. Thank you so much, Teresa, for sharing that. Sometimes we don't realize how much of an impact, we're making, by being kind until, we have an extended absence. Maybe we take vacation if it's on, in our workplace or, whatever the case may be. But I think that story that you shared just shows that we should be so kind that when we're, away, that people notice the difference of just the joy that we share from the kindness that we exude. So I know that you have helped so many parents, and we're going to talk about just different, approaches and different environments that kindness can be implemented in. But I know that you specifically have helped parents. You have a process for parents who are even busy. We're never too busy to be kind, so that parents can help to promote those positive values. So can you share a little bit of insight with our viewers about that and what parents can do, even if they're busy, to promote those positive values with their children?
Yeah, and I tried to keep it simple because I've been there. I was a single parent, and you're busy and you're running in 20 different directions every day. So I tried to keep it simple, just using everyday encounters. And you can start at home. And I always say hugs. People, again, underestimate the power of a hug. And I found out through research that you need 4 hugs to survive, 8 hugs to maintain the status quo, and 12 or more to thrive and grow. So hugs are so important. So hug your kids as many times a day as you can fit in. Always be hugging your kids. And then from there, it's just your words.
Yes.
How are you speaking? You're important. I appreciate you. You make me smile. And you can put it on sticky notes. You can put it in their backpacks. One of the ones I have found out had an impact is your child has studied for the big test, whether math, English, whatever it is, and they're sweating it out that morning. Just slide a note in there in that backpack and say, you got this. And they'll see that when they get through their backpack, and that raises their confidence level.
That's good.
It's just those simple things. You haven't done anything. Another thing, as a single parent, I've seen the grocery store. We're all in the grocery store. We all have to go. So one thing, when I was raising my kids, my youngest, he was about 3 or 4, threw the biggest temper tantrum in the middle of the grocery store you've ever seen. And I had him in the cart, and I just kept going. He's screaming his head off. But I said, I had to get my grocery shopping done. You're not getting your way. And I just kept going. And we're at the checkout, and I'm dying. I am mortified that my child is, and my oldest has his hand on the cart, just, God, can we just get out of here? You can see on his little face. And we're walking out the door finally, and a gentleman taps me on the shoulder, and he said, you're doing a great job. Those few words made all the difference in the world to me.
That's good.
He just lightened it. And if for you to do today, now this was another one someone told me about, or actually I saw this one. I'm in the produce section of the grocery store, and the mom's trying to get those dreaded produce bags open, and she's got the screaming 2-year-old in her cart. And you can see it on her face. I just have to get 2 things and I can get out of here. And here a gentleman came up to her, took the bag, opened it, handed it back. The kid stopped screaming. She could move on. You could see it on her face, just the
Yeah.
weight of the world was lifted. So
Yeah.
it's just your words and a simple action. That didn't cost you anything and took you seconds. Didn't cost you a lot of time either.
That's
But
good.
it's those things
That's
that I
good.
try
Those
to
are
do.
good. Both practical things. Now, you
Yeah,
said something just a little bit ago that I want us to go back to,
sure.
because you said something about, parents putting a little note, when their child might have an exam or something that's coming up. And I want us to, talk a little bit about maybe something that parents can do, because I can say that I had very, very supportive parents. I had wonderful parents. I'm grateful to God for that. I probably put more pressure on myself than anyone else did, and I think I still, do as an adult. But I do see sometimes how parents respond when children don't do well on an exam.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best way that a parent can, in a positive, constructive manner, have conversations while still being kind
Mm-hmm.
if their child doesn't do as well as they wanted them to do, or maybe if the child is hard on herself or himself? What could they do to have a kind conversation in those cases?
In these cases, I think you sit down and we'll use the math test and say, okay, you got a B, not an A. All right, you want the A. So let me help you. And this does take a little more time, but let's go through the problems you missed. And let's find out why you did or what you didn't understand. Did we need to work on this aspect or this principle more than another one? Just kind of walk them through. It's not the end all be all. A B versus an A, and there are kids out there, if they don't get an A, they're just devastated. I've
Yeah,
seen it. So just say, hey, a B's great, but if you want to do better, let's sit down and find out how we can do better and address each issue as it goes. And another thing with stuff like that is um, go to your parent teacher conferences. Say, hey, Timmy was devastated with his B. This is what we talked about. How can I, as a parent, and you as a teacher, work together so my child feels that success that he wants?
that's
And
good.
so I know a lot of parents don't go to those. So that's one thing. And it keeps you in touch with what's going
Right.
on with your child at school. So yeah, please attend parent teacher conferences.
That's good. Now, I want us to pivot a little bit, because we've spent a lot of the focus on, parents and children. So I want us to pivot a little bit, because I think kindness is important, everywhere. But I want to focus on an environment that most people spend the majority of their time during the week, and it's in the workplace. The average person spends so many hours in their office, and some people are remote, so maybe it's virtual. But what are some things that professionals can do, and business owners and leaders? What are some things that they can do to build better workplace environments?
Yeah, and one of the things, again, we go back to words. What are you encouraging that employee? Are you encouraging your fellow coworker? Um, hey, that was the best report you gave. That was a wonderful presentation you gave. Maybe would you give me pointers on how to make mine better? And kind of lift them up. And the boss should be saying, hey, would you like to be the unofficial, trainer of this because you did such a good job? Catch your employees doing something good. just like you do with kids. Catch them doing something good and build on that. Okay, yeah, we lost that one. We lost that account. Okay, why did we lose that account? Very similar tactics. And how can we do better? How can I help you do better? And work it through that way. Team building exercises, I think, are amazing and huge, especially I think in this environment today where we've been remote for years, and now the corporations are asking them to come back into an office environment. And, people just have lost it. They're not used to that. So you have to learn to get along with a lot of different personalities. And the team building exercises, the blindfolded, where the one has to lead them through an obstacle course so they don't face plant. Those kind of things. The other one I really like is sitting two people across from each other, and you have to tell them all the great things. You have to tell them 5 things that you appreciate about them, that you admire about them.
That's great.
And I found out that's really hard for some people to do that. I was kind of surprised, but evidently it's very difficult. But it's those kind of exercises that do help in the workplace.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about just mindset. But I think before we go into mindset, I want to, because I think those were great strategies for the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
But I want us to talk about being kind to yourself, because I've noticed that sometimes, as humans, humans can sometimes not speak to themselves the right way, right? And I think it's important to be kind to yourself. I do believe that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. And you have to have the self-love and the self-kindness to be able to share it with others. So what is your perspective on being kind to yourself? And what is one strategy that people can implement to ensure that they remain kind to themselves?
Okay, well, I don't just have one. But if your kindness tank is empty, you can't be kind to anybody. So yes, it is very important to take that time for yourself. And one of those, it's that 15 minutes before anybody else goes up and the house is quiet. You sit there with your cup of coffee. Some people, half an hour, 15, 20 minutes on the treadmill. They have to exercise to get moving. I know one mom told me she would come home from work, and of course everybody's home by then, give me 15 minutes. And she went in to her room for 15 minutes, shut the door, and everybody left her alone. They gave her that 15 minutes. Thank you. Cooperating families are wonderful. And she said, that's all I needed. I just needed to regroup, switch from work mode to mom mode. And then she said, I can go on for the evening and start running everybody, getting dinner and running everybody everywhere. So that's another one. At the end, maybe the mornings you can't. That's just not your thing. Do it after everybody goes to bed at night. Take that 15, 20 minutes. I know a couple, I just love this. They get up at 5. Dad goes and does his jog for a half an hour. Then he comes home, and the kids, I know the first one has to be on the bus like at 6:15. It's crazy early. So he starts making sure that the first set of kids gets off and running while mom goes and jogs for half an hour. So that's when you're working with parents, tag team each other, talk about this with each other, and how can we help both parents keep their kindness tank full.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those, Teresa. So I think that mindset matters, purpose matters, being aligned with our purpose matters. Do you believe that there's any correlation between purpose and mindset?
Yes, absolutely. Because you have to have, like, when I started this, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew it was my purpose. God sent me this purpose. And I knew that. So I had to get up every morning and intentionally set my mind to saying, this is what we're going to do. And that's absolutely what you have to do. If you know your purpose, however you came to know your purpose, you have to get up every morning again and be intentional and set, okay, these are the things I need to do to fulfill my purpose today.
Absolutely. I think that's great. You said a key word regarding purpose is being intentional. You know, it's one thing to know what your purpose is, and then it's another thing to do it. So I think we have to have intent, you know, every day, pursuing our purpose.
And
So
it's,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's important to have discipline. And that's not easy for a lot of people. So writing down those intentions helps you with your discipline.
I agree. So, and I think having things written down clearly, succinctly, you can, you know, see what it is that you need to do. I know that, you know, whatever vision you have, whatever goals you have, and how they align with your purpose, writing them down helps you to be able to achieve those things, because then you can work towards it. And people should actually, in addition to writing them down, they should also be writing, you know, steps towards the big, large, overarching goal that they have. So thank you so much for sharing that. So I know we talked a little bit earlier, very briefly, about journey and kindness. And so I know that there are services that you provide to clients. And so, can you just share more insight on the types of services that Journey and Kindness provides? And if there are viewers who are watching who are interested in learning more, where they would need to start or how they would get started?
Yes, I go out and speak to parenting groups, PTAs, and of course a few team buildings in there. But I just walk through the process with them and starting with that smile and hello, and then what you can do to be kind in your own home, so you're sending your children out the door on a high note. How to communicate with your children when they come home, so you know what is going on in their lives. And I walk through all the steps. I give lots of examples. When I'm speaking, I love doing the in-person the best, because that's when you're the most interactive and people can ask questions. Well, this is what's happening in my world. What could we slide in there to help me? And that's basically what it is. And then once you've got the kindness as a foundation, you're making it as natural as breathing, then we go into the payoffs. We go into okay, I have this set for my family. Let's get the soccer team together and do a food drive, which right now we really need right now. Food banks are low. And, it doesn't cost, everybody brings one non-perishable items. I can say that. And then, 2 or 3 parents can take the boxes over to the food bank. Real super easy. And then you also see your kids are kind when you're not watching. And I have examples of that. I've got a nephew. I think this is just awesome. He was in middle school at the time. Saw a kid in a wheelchair trying to push the wheelchair and carry the cafeteria tray. And he was just having a terrible time. So my nephew went over, here, let me get your tray. Where would you like to sit? And the kid kind of shrugged. He goes, well, just come sit with us. And my nephew is an athlete, and most of the friends at his table were athletes. Well, come to find out, the kid in the wheelchair knew every sports statistic out there.
Wow.
They forged a wonderful friendship for those 2 or 3 years that they were together. But mom wasn't watching. Mom had just set it up. Mom and dad had set up making kindness as natural as breathing, and they just stepped up into it. Those payoffs. And then I go into how your words are important, how you never know, change your perception, because you never know what someone is going through.
Absolutely.
And Yeah. And that example, the best example of that I have, and it's everyone's favorite, is I went out to lunch. And all of your corporate clients go out to lunch all the time. And the server comes up and says, "What do you want?" And my friend and I looked at each other and we're like, well, we had a couple questions about the menu. I don't know. I was told to come over and take your order. What do you want? And my friend and I are looking at each other going, oh, this is not good. And we ordered. Our food came. It was fine. But she never refilled a coffee. She never refilled a water. And at the end of the meal, she came by and slammed the bill on the table. Okay. My friend and I literally sat back and said, we have every right to call the manager. This woman was awful. And we actually talked about it. We discussed it. And we finally decided not to call the manager. We chose another route. We paid her a normal tip. And on the receipt, I put a smiley face and wrote, "You are designed to shine." We gathered our stuff, went on out. She chased us into the parking lot. Tears. "Thank you. I really needed to hear that today." And you're making that choice. Do I want to be right or do I want to be kind?
Right.
And that was early in my journey, and I had no idea what was going to happen. But that has laid a big lesson for myself to always be kind, because you never know what someone's going through.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what they're experiencing. And sometimes to just take the moment and say, hey, I just, noticed that you might be, having a challenging day. How are you doing? What can I do for you?
And I do.
And sometimes someone knowing that there's a person who's genuinely concerned, who genuinely cares, it makes a world of difference. Because you just, like you said, you never know what people are, what people are facing. And so I know you have a freebie for people who are watching. Can you share a little bit of more insight on that freebie that you have?
Yes, it is. If you don't know where to start and you're really kind of out of ideas, which is fine, it's 75 acts of kindness. And I did it in elevation order. So it starts with a smile and a hello, the super easy, all the way to planting trees to be kind to the planet. And that's also something you could do as a team building exercise in the corporate world is plant a tree for a charity or an event. And there's lots of ideas in between. And as a family, you can sit down and say, hey, we're going to work on this one this week or today, however that works.
No, that's good. Now, I know you talked in talking about the examples that maybe, even planting can be a team building exercise. And you spoke earlier about team building exercises. You mentioned the one where people can sit across from each other and share 5 things that they, really like about the other person. And you mentioned about guiding organizations through team building strategies. Is there anything else that you can share with our viewers regarding team building strategies and things that leaders can do to just strengthen the collaboration, the unity, and the synergy amongst professionals within their organizations?
Yeah, it's a lot of it's communication. Bottom line with corporations, it's communicating, it's talking, have those frequent, if you don't want to do the big team, have a frequent, 3-person team meeting. You could do that at the beginning of every day. Okay, these are our goals today. How are we going to do it? And here each person, and give each person a task to do that day. That's just one way to do it. But the constant communication, and you work with these people and you spend almost more time with them than you do at home. And we were talking about noticing people. If you see somebody that's down or the behavior's off, don't ask what's wrong. You ask, what can I do?
Yes.
How can I help? And that
That's
goes a huge, long way.
That's good. Very good practice.
Mhm.
So I want to talk about your books because I know that you have a book and a journal. And so can you share with our viewers about your book and your journal?
Okay, yeah, my book is called Raising Kind Children. It is intentionally a quick read with just how to make kindness as natural as breathing, then going into involving the neighborhood, the community drives, and then how to be kind, changing your purpose, changing how you view somebody's, change your perception, use of humor to diffuse some of those awkward situations. And finally, the one, sometimes you just have to walk away. So it does takes you all from making it as natural as breathing right into conflict management.
Thank you. And then if you can share insight on your journal.
My journal is for 365 days, and just journal the acts of kindness that you see, the acts of kindness that you perform, and the acts of kindness you receive. I found out people miss that part, and I'm thinking, how can you miss that part? That's the best part.
That's good. I think it's important for us to reflect and, always have gratitude and being
Yes.
able to, reflect and write down those things, even the acts of kindness that we received. I think that's good. Um, and it opens us up for more when we're able to be grateful for what we have and what we experience. So if there are viewers who want to purchase your journal or Raising Kind Children, which you received an award for, so congratulations on that award, how would they go about purchasing that book or your journal?
They are both available on Amazon.
Okay, fantastic.
Super,
So for
super
those
easy.
of you, I'm sorry, the audio went out just
Oh, okay. I just said super easy.
fantastic. Thank you. So for those of you who were interested in purchasing Raising Kind Children or purchasing the Kindness Journal, those are both on Amazon. So thank you for that, Teresa. Now, I know that we've talked about quite a few things today. Is there anything else that you haven't shared that you'd like to share, or any final advice or insight that you would like to leave with our viewers?
Yeah, well, the one thing is everybody's going to say, yeah, this is all nice and fluffy. But there are studies that prove that this changes the physiology in our brains. So if you and I exchange an act of kindness, our serotonin levels, our oxytocin levels rise. And those are our happy hormones. So from one act of kindness, we have two happy people. The fascinating thing is that anyone that observed that act of kindness, their happy hormones go up as well. So we're creating from these acts of kindness that we're doing, we're creating the ripples of kindness. And if we're all doing it in just our corner of the world, they're going to eventually merge and create a wave of kindness that washes across this country. And it's so needed.
Absolutely. That's good. Thank you so much, Teresa, for sharing that. And if there's anyone who's viewing who'd like to stay in touch with you or contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way is through my journeyandkindness.com website and click the contact button and you can reach out to me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Teresa. This has been such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you to all the viewers who have been watching. We appreciate you tuning in to this episode of Purpose Today with our special guest, Teresa Ramirez. So if you haven't done so yet, please go out to the Journey and Kindness website at www.journeyandkindness.com/freebies to receive your freebie with those 75 practical ways that you can introduce kindness to those around you. We so appreciate you watching today's episode of Purpose Today. We appreciate all of your engagement. And if there's a question that we did not have an opportunity to answer, we will do our best to follow up with the comments in the chat. But again, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson and our very special guest, Teresa Ramirez. It's always an honor to have you all viewing and engaging. So appreciative of all of you. Now, for the webinar, there's an opportunity to still register for the webinar. That information is available to you all on the screen and in the chat. So thank you all again for tuning in. Make it an amazing, purpose-filled day and a phenomenal week.